Drink beer, it's good for you.
Hello and welcome to the video. In this video I'll be looking at inline regulators. These are beneficial in that you can fully regulate the pressure of each keg within your kegerator individually, allowing for a carbonation level that is best suited to the beer style and of course your own taste for it, but at the same time just use a normal primary regulator with one output. Very handy. When you either create or buy a kegerator, there are various options available to you on how this is set up. Most people want to maximize the space inside and keep the CO2 bottle and regulator outside of the kegerator with this in mind. The motive here is you can simply fit more beer inside this way. A number of kegerator manufacturers also go with this design because it simply makes perfect sense. I do believe that most people are going to struggle to put up a convincing argument as to why less beer would be better than more beer. This means that you will have a single CO2 hose going from the outside into the kegerator that is then split via a manifold inside. You could buy a CO2 regulator with 3 or more outputs, but then this is going to be much harder to add from the outside inwards, and the space this will take up on the outside is much larger. Plus, they are pretty expensive, so hopefully you get the full picture as to why different solutions are called for. A more and more popular solution is to use inline regulators that are now available in different forms, so let us now look at some of the more popular examples. So with no particular order, let us firstly say hello to Guv'Reg. On opening the box, the first thing that greets you is this instruction card, which goes through the process of setup in a clear fashion, as you can see on screen now. This box represents the standard starter kit. This version is designed with Sankey kegs in mind, with the secondary regulator attaching between the keg's coupler and gas line. The gauge setup that you see here is used first to set the desired pressure level for the regulators. It is certainly easy to use, and the various items supplied in this kit have a good quality feel to them. The secondary regulators themselves are stainless steel, but unlike most CO2 regulators are not featuring a diaphragm design. This suggests that over time you should really double check and perhaps adjust the pressure again to assure there is no drift. This is not really a huge deal, but something to be aware of. You intend to leave these in place with the same pressure for longer periods. The output pressure range for this product is between 4 to 55 psi, and the input pressure range is between 20 to 150 psi. This makes these useful for more than just beer, and they are happy with argon, O2, N20, N2 gas blends as well as CO2. This system also has an advantage for a brewery in that if they supply a keg with this system attached, they can ensure that the CO2 level is set and cannot be adjusted away from the desired amount. There is also a home brewer's version starter kit that adds in 2 ball lock adapters as shown here, allowing this system to be used with corny kegs. These screw into the ball lock, and then you can attach the secondary regulator on the end before attaching your gas line. You will note that the end of the regulator is barbed, so this is easy enough, but I would suggest that you use something to ensure that this is nice and tight to protect against gas leaks, especially as from time to time you are going to need to remove this. You will note that when this is used for either Sankey or Cornelius kegs, it sits rather close to the keg, and the downside of this is that beer can get inside. So when using this product, I would recommend that these are removed and cleaned from a potential sanitation and accuracy perspective. The last thing you want is dried beer inside, of course. If you are someone who brews lots of different styles and with that wants a variety of different levels of carbonation, then you will need to accept that this secondary regulator will need to be removed from time to time, so that you can set the new level of pressure. I note that this product is made in the US, but it is also available in other world locations. Please check with your local home brew store first, and if they do not stock it, then take a look online for availability in your country. An alternative inline secondary regulator that I will share with you is actually from Egeland. This is without doubt a cheaper solution compared to the Guv'Reg. This comes in a cardboard box as shown here, and it certainly is a much smaller product even though it contains a pressure gauge on board. Part of the good news is that this product has a diaphragm valve like a normal regulator, meaning that it will very reliably hold a set pressure. It is suggested by the manufacturer that when you first get this that you add some pressure to it for 24 hours so that this valve can bed in. After this point you will find that this offers a very similar level of accuracy to the Guv'Reg and primary regulators in general. You will note that the gauge supplied on this particular one is from 0 to 60 psi, but the product can deal with between 0 to 150 psi. There are actually 4 different gauge types available as shown on screen now. These alternatives can be purchased separately and the gauges can be swapped out as to your needs, which is certainly a nice touch. I have also just added to the screen all that is compatible with this product, which is quite a list indeed. Construction of these involves food-grade engineering plastic mostly, but also stainless steel. The seals are high-quality EPDM. I've already dropped one of these on a hard floor a couple of times and it seems that they can take quite a beating. You can see on the body that there are duo-tight connectors at both ends that will allow you to put this where you like on your gas line with a nice secure fitting that can be released should you need to. These support 8mm or 5/16 OD tubing. I would suggest that these are added further up on the gas line away from the keg to avoid beer making its way into it. It is also advisable that you plan the location to make it easy for you to adjust the pressure and actually see the gauge. Do keep in mind that this is a rather small gauge, so positioning will be important for ease of use. Once again, if this is something that interests you, then please do support your local homebrew store if they stock it. If you wish to discuss this or perhaps other beer related matters, then why not head over to this channel's Facebook group. We have a mature and friendly user base with absolutely no tolerance for rude and immature people. This has certainly proven to be very popular, which is great to see. This now brings this video to a close. If you have any questions, then please let me know via YouTube or Facebook. I do hope that you found this video to be useful, interesting and enjoyable. If appropriate, then please like this video on YouTube, and if you've not done so already, then please subscribe. I regularly post new content. Happy brewing!